If you're new to Modo, you've probably discovered that its interface is very malleable and very flexible. You can hide shelves, hide panels on the left and right to maximize your viewport and expose them again when you need them. You can also split your viewport into quad view, or you can actually add a second panel on the left side and make that panel pretty much any one of the more useful interface panels. Now you might find yourself getting into a situation where you don't like the interface, and the easiest way to fix that is to double click on the tab. It resets Modo back to its base version. The last thing I want to show you is the preference editor, and I wanted to show you some useful settings that I find rather helpful while working with Modo. Now the preferences panel is located on the Mac under the Modo drop-down menu item, and on the PC it's under the system menu item. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and open this up now, and you'll see we're presented with a panel with a lot of different preferences. I mean, it's quite overwhelming actually, but for the most part we only need to deal with a few of these things. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the application settings, and I can set my undo levels right at the top here to whatever I want. So I'll usually set those to 200. It just gives me a larger buffer for undoing a lot of different things that you might mess up on. The next thing I'm going to do is go down to the autosave right below it. Now by default, the autosave is set to 15 minutes. I prefer my autosaves to be every 10 minutes, and autosaves can save your behind, let me tell you. It has on many occasions saved my tail more than once. Okay, you can also set a number of revisions, so it will save multiple versions of any one project that you're working on. You can also select the directory where you want it to save to, and by default it sets it into a temp file, but you can place that anywhere you want. Okay, moving down, we go to 3D information overlays. Now, by default, I think Modo only has a few of these turned on. I like as much detailed information as I can get on the screen. So as you can see in this lower corner is where the information overlays are presented. All right, moving down, let's go to OpenGL. Now, don't get intimidated by this, but there are a lot of settings in OpenGL. However, the only one that I'm really concerned with is the flatness of perspective right here. A lot of people think that Modo's viewport is a little wide angle for them, but you can adjust this to go anywhere from a fisheye and beyond, actually, to an orthographic sort of view if you want. I prefer the settings to be around 70% perspective, and to my eye, that feels about right when I'm modeling. Okay, so that's pretty much the only one we want to deal with in here. So let's go to remapping. So down here where it says input. Now if you have a 3D mouse, you can set your parameters here. I'll just touch on that real quickly. And depending upon what your setup is for that mouse, you can set them here. The next parameter we want to take a look at is remapping. And what this simply does is allows you to change the way the mouse buttons respond to navigation. That is, if you're used to another program, another application such as Cinema or 3D Max or Rhino or something like that, you can easily select one of these and the mouse will kind of follow the same inputs parameters for navigation that those programs use. The only problem is that during this course I will be calling out various keyboard shortcuts and mouse commands so that you can follow along. Changing these will possibly make it a little bit harder for you to follow along, so just be aware of that. So the last thing we want to take a look at here are units, and by default Modo is set to this SI, or I believe it's scientific measurement units. You can change that to metric or English units depending upon what you're most comfortable with, and you can set the default unit to feet, inches, miles, whatever. So just be aware of that. A lot of people change those around to accommodate the type of model that they're working with. So yeah, that's it. So with these settings in place, I think we'll be ready to move on.